Hi family, my name is Clem de la Creme. Thank you for being here with me right now. So right now we're about to run through one whole week because I didn't do the regular updates that I've been doing. So we're going to start with Monday, where we had the Ableton class and we were working with recording because many people in class don't have a lot of experience with recording. So basically we're broken up into groups and we had microphones and interfaces and mic cords and whatnot to record percussion. So we're given different shakers and maracas and things. And we basically learned how to record and turn those files into MIDI files, or also take those recordings and tighten them up a little bit, use warping to make them fit a little bit better, to stretch some things out, and to make very interesting percussion pieces. But though many of you know I've got experience recording vocals and stuff, the recording percussion was new to me, and using these new techniques was new as well. So now I know how to basically turn things into MIDI files and create new sounds and new pieces from other found sounds and other samples. Excuse me. We also looked at samples and used the warp functions to learn the differences in how some of the warp things work. And that will help me later with some of my remixing and other things. But it basically made it so you can stretch it out and adjust things just slightly to make it fit better and be in time, so when you're creating your own pieces, the samples that you find work better. Now, when I've been doing my own remixes, I generally use the auto warp function, and I don't do too much editing or warping when you go in there and really tweak the sample. I chop it up a lot and do a lot with that, but I haven't done this before, so it was cool to learn. And then Monday night, actually, we got to see Sander Van Doorn. He came to give a talk at the school and answered a lot of different questions, as well as some of my own. And one of the questions I asked him was, do you think it's important to have different aliases to share some of your own music, to share different parts of your own music? And he personally did, because that is part of his own experience. He has Sander Van Doorn, Purple Haze, and maybe some others, but it was to share different sides of his music. So like the Purple Haze one was a little bit darker and heavier than his Sander Van Doorn work. And I asked this question because, I have just my name, Clem de la Creme, and all of my music gets put out on that, whether it's an instrumental Jersey Club remix or if it's one of my hip hop tracks where I'm rapping. So it got me thinking a little bit about possibly creating another alias for my production things, or my DJ stuff. My DJ stuff is Clem de la Creme. It's also, or CDLC, I sometimes put that as, but to me it's the same thing. But I'm probably just gonna keep it Clem de la Creme. That's me, and all the art that I do is there. And he also, what else did he talk about? I can't remember the questions I asked him, but he was somebody who is really present and really humble. Someone was at the top of his game, running Doorn records and stuff, and he was just there and human and talking to everybody, and didn't talk down or anything to anyone, and didn't make anybody feel like any question was, I hate saying stupid, but yeah, stupid question. There's no stupid questions. But he was there to answer everything, and he did it all with great character and poise, and I appreciate that. I think everybody else appreciated that too. Tuesday was the sound engineering class, and in sound engineering class we worked in our groups to further along our arrangements for our pieces, because next week we have a studio drummer coming in to record the drumming section for our covers. And so in our groups we did that, and then as a class later on we talked about microphones, and we went in and we studied the different patterns that microphones can record. And when I say studied, we tested them out really. Our teacher went into the booth, and we were outside in the main section, and he was there in front of the microphones changing the different polar patterns for the way they record, and he was moving around the microphones to show the quality that you get from different polar patterns and different placements of a microphone. And that was particularly important for me because I knew about the importance of microphone placement, but I didn't test out everything when I was trying to record my own vocals. For instance, like when I was recording my vocals, usually I would put on a cardioid pattern, which would give pretty much everything like on this side of the microphone attention. That's like what it would kind of catch and record, and the stuff in the back it wouldn't really record. But it also changed the quality of the sound that you got. And I didn't think about the quality of the sound. I only thought about, all right, well, it's gonna give you this sound, it's gonna block out that sound, but I didn't think about what it did to all of it. And I can't remember during the test, I think maybe it gave it more of a reverb sound, or maybe it wasn't as warm. And so when you use like an omni pattern, something where it's like capturing everything, it gave it a fuller sound, but also then you're capturing everything in all the different parts of the room. So, there's pros and cons to what you decide to do and how you decide to use your microphones. As well as there's certain ways to really block out maybe some sounds. There was like I forget the name of the pattern, like this figure 8 pattern for certain microphones where you get like one side coming out there and one side there, and then on the sides like there's no sound. So if like maybe there's a loud noise coming there, I might use that microphone so it will capture everything this way and that way, but the sides it's kind of blocking it out. And that's a bit of what we did. We mic'd a whole drum kit, to check how the different spots sound and where things maybe sound best with what types of microphones, for the kicks and the snares and the hi-hats, and like when to just kind of like mic the whole kick, and to do it stereo, like left and right. Because next week we have our session with the artist, and so we need to be prepared and ready. But I'm looking forward to that. It's gonna be pretty cool, and you'll hear about that next week. Wednesday was composition. And in composition, we started tearing apart different tracks and figuring out that people have a lot of choices when they're making their tracks, and that you should do it intentionally. And one of the things you can do is like think about the choices you have in the sounds and the quality and the notes. The notes have a big power in how you lead the listener. And so we tore apart, I hate saying tear apart, we discussed Martin Garrix's track, Animals, and just saw the different notes and the patterns that he used to basically to lead the listener. And in the beginning, the sounds that he uses, because he'll use the same notes and same sounds later, or not same sounds, he'll use the same note like and vary the pattern just a little bit later, but because it's a different sound, it gives it an entirely different feel and tells a different story really, as well as only using parts of a note pattern that you use, like where you start with one and you carry part of it to another spot. Anyways, we really did like learn the power of that, because you can take the listener on a journey with many differences in terms of the notes that you choose, even like the spacing between the notes, the pauses, the range of the notes. So you have like really high notes and really low notes, they can affect a person quite a bit. And then there was the open mic Wednesday night, and I had to go check out an apartment, but I did get to catch the end of the open mic, and there were so many good performers and some really, really amazing voices, and that's something that I always appreciate. And those of you that follow me regularly know that I got my start from open mics, and they hold a special place in my heart. So I was glad to be there and see a bit of that. And my own performance, I had been planning on doing 2 tracks, but there was only time for 1 because they weren't gonna be able to do all the performers. Like there were so many people that came this week that not everyone got a chance. So I said pick 1, and so I just asked the crowd, I was like, do you want to hear Blessings, or do you want to hear I Want to See You Smile? And these are 2 tracks that I've never performed before, and they chose Blessings. And so I don't know, I put in the instrumental and I did my thing, but it was a good performance, but it was not one of my strongest, like up to like my own quality, my own standards. You know, like, you know, for those of you out there who are performers, you know when you've done a good performance in a really great show, and other times where like it was good, but it was fine. It wasn't, you know, it wasn't up to what you know you're capable of. So I had a good performance, but I didn't crush it like I was hoping to. I didn't do the job. I didn't do the song justice like I wanted to, I think. I don't know, but what that did do is it got me thinking about how I could improve it to make it better. And so on the way home, I was actually singing the lyrics. So tomorrow in the studio, I'm gonna go and try and record a singing version of that. Maybe it'll sound better, we'll see. And I did not get a bunch of contacts like I did the first time. Like everyone who performed last time, I got their contacts. This time I didn't ask anybody's contacts. I was like, oh, I'll get it maybe at the end of the show or after, and everybody left, so I didn't get a chance to do that. But I did connect with some other people, and I had a good time. Thursday was DJ class, and I was working on vinyls. I found 2 of the same vinyl, so I practiced a little bit of looping, but I was struggling. And I was dealing with beat matching and just picking out more and like searching for hip hop vinyls, but it was vinyl day for class, and so everybody who usually wasn't on vinyls got broken into pairs and joined all of us who were already on the turntables to start learning how to use vinyl. And one thing that I did learn in class was that you need to make sure you balance the needles. I know there's weights on the arms, but I didn't think about there being specific ways to do it properly. I mean, like, I obviously knew there must have been, but I was never taught that yet. So our teacher showed us how to balance the needles, and before I go do it, just kind of by feel, where I was like, all right, well, I feel like this needs more weight. And for those of you that don't know what I'm talking about, on a turntable, there's a weight at the end, and it helps it so that way the needle has the right amount of weight when it's touching the record, because you don't want it too light or else it will jump out of, you know, the grooves and stuff, and the record will skip. Or if you're DJing, you can't always like stay on the sampler section like where you're trying to be at, because it might be jumping around as you're moving the record. So the weight is very important. The person I was working with, Ruben, he's new to using turntables, so I got to show him the little bit that I know, and we kind of took turns practicing and doing some stuff, but it was cool. And then after class, had a quick little break and was looking at apartments online, still trying to find one. But I had my one-on-one with my teacher, and I thought it was gonna be in the studio, but it was not. So it was in the main area, and they had some speakers set up there and some CDJs. But I was hoping to learn some stuff on vinyl, and we're not able to do that because the studio is booked by a different teacher and stuff. So I was like, all right, well, cool. We're on the CDJs, which for those of you that know me, CDJs are actually the equipment that I have the least amount of experience on, strangely enough. And so I was like, well, can you show me some different transitions or teach me something cool? And so my teacher was teaching me, but then the effects knob broke. And so it just didn't work out yesterday with the one-on-one session. He was like, hey, here, he taught me a couple things which were great, and he was like, also just take your time, relax a little bit more, don't be so rushed. And I ended up just continuing DJing for another few hours because there's nobody coming up yet. So I had DJed from like 10 a.m. till 6 p.m. yesterday. It was good. And then today I had booked out the DJ studio for 4 hours with me and the homie Santi. We were working on vinyl. I taught him the basics of vinyl with a little bit. He's killer on the CDJs. And he was teaching me a bit about some transitions and how to do some mixing and stuff. He's someone who gets like really excited, and so he'll want to get in and start mixing. Like, man, you're trying to teach me, man. Like, let me get in there and do some stuff. So he'll be able to kind of like edge me out and start going on the stuff. And it's cool, man. The dude's got a really good ear and good skills and stuff. But we worked through my USB and the music that I had on there. So today we're just like mixing around with Latin house and Jersey club and hip hop and trap. I taught him a little bit about some hip hop mixing and how some of it goes, like with like drops and different cuts, because hip hop is not something he's familiar with mixing. But you know, we had some fun, and then I got back on the turntables and was practicing like looping, and I was struggling because the only copies, like the only doubles of the records there were was TLC Girl Talk, and where the kick comes in the beginning, there's like another little sound, and then when the vocals come into it, there's another like extra thing, so it was hard to count the revolutions and then like hear it, try to get a thing as I was going there. I like felt rushed. I wasn't like slowing down to take my time to get it, but it was fun. Anyways, that's my week. Y'all know me. I'm Clem de la Creme. I'm a healer, I'm a lover, I'm health, I'm wealth, and I prosper everywhere I go. And I'm here to help inspire people to feel and share love, so don't you forget it. But yeah, I'll catch y'all next time. Peace.